When presenting to a group of people, the most attention is right in the beginning. And that is why I want to share with you my most important lesson, my most important nacho topping for your dentisting life. And that is ABC. Always be connecting. Always be creative. Always be caring. And most of all, always be coaching. That is why I want to offer you a complimentary chip gift. Just text the word coach to 215-543-6454. Text the word coach to 215-543-6454. What you will get in return is a free 5-hour series on practice management, patient communication, and practice transitions. This will help you at any age or stage of your dentisting career. Listen to a little bit each day, and it will help you be a happier dentisting human, a less stressed dentisting human, a more aware dentisting human. My favorite thing to do is one thing, and that one thing is help people with their one things that make their life a little bit better. Because when you add up a lot of one helpful one things, you can make a better life for yourself, both inside your dental office and maybe more importantly, outside your dental office. So just text coach to 215-543-6454. And the other thing to remember is the story is the star in life. And I'm going to share with you my 2 favorite stories about starfish and about dashes. Thank you for having me here to present to you. If you need me for any reason, need help from us for any reason, do not hesitate to reach out to us at dentalnachos.com. Now, sit back, relax, and get to hear why it's so important to focus on starfish and dashes.
Welcome everybody to the lecture One Dental Schools Did Not Want You to Hear, Pandemic Survival Tips for Dentisting. What is going on right now on Earth and in dentistry is, to use a very technical term, nacho nuts. So how can we make it better? And one of my favorite stories here is the starfish story. So that is one of the moderators, my daughter, on the beach this summer. There's a great story about starfish. They are all washed up on the beach. This has not happened to us as a story. All these starfish are washed up on the beach, and there's a young girl throwing them back, trying to save them one by one. And an older man walks by and says, "What are you doing?" And the young girl picks up a starfish and throws it back, says, "I'm trying to save these starfish." And the older man says, "You're never going to save them all." And the young girl picks up another one, throws it back, and says, "It mattered to that one." That is what we're doing. What are the starfish in your life, in my life? Those one things that we can make better to make our lives better. And the dash part, what is the dash part? The dash part is Linda Ellis's story about living your dash. You're born, dash, die. How do we apply this to our dentisting world? Where are the dashes? Some of you guys know my acronyms. Baby age dentist, 0 to 2 years out of school. That's not about your real age. It's about your dental age after school. Baby age dentist in training. Medium age dentist, 10 to 25 years out of school. They're all listed right there. But where are these dashes in our dental career, and who helps us live these dashes better? D1, D2 to D3 and D4. That should say D4 dash AGD GPR specialty. Here's an important one. You're training to the real world, that dash. Who helps you there? How do you live your best dash from going from training into the real world of dentisting? Associate dash practice owner. Practice owner dash rad. Now, if you're saying, what is a rad? A rad is a retired age dentist. So I believe it's important to work on your dash and help yourself along the journey, help others along the journey from day one, D1, all the way to rad. And we're going to talk about some of those things tonight. So I think there's important key performance indicators in dentistry. How much profit, your overhead, new patients, active patients. But to me, this is the most important key performance indicator. The number of times you do this a day. How can you take that from up here to down here? How can we minimize the number of times we do this per day? What is that key performance indicator? Let's ask the moderator.
Daphne, I'm heading to my dental office for the day. Do you have any advice for me?
Remember, you're a dentist, so keep it crying on the inside.
Good tip.
So dentists have to keep our crying on the inside. It's part joke. It's part a big problem, right? We have to be the star, I say, star of a Broadway play that nobody wants to hear. Like the opposite of Hamilton, Nacho Hamilton. People clamor to see Hamilton. They don't want to be at our dental offices, and it's stressful and intense to be a dentist. Also, along this circle of dentisting life, burnt nachos can happen. So in this dash, training to the real world is about getting a job. Let's listen to a real story about a dentist who had nachos burnt by not being aware. You're going to hear a theme. We need to share more, care more, prepare more, and be aware more to succeed in dentistry. This dentist was not aware when this dentist signed an associate contract. And let's find out what happened to burn these dental nachos.
Are you a dentist afraid of signing a bad associate contract? My name is Paul, Dr. Nacho Goodman, and I help dentists find jobs, connect with offices to work, and a lot of times it goes awesome. But there are times where it does not go so awesome. Times where nachos get dropped or burned. Imagine being a dentist, leaving a job to start your own practice, and the job that you are leaving, the office demands that you delete your social media accounts. That is a true story from a dental nachoer who's going through a legal battle to not only keep the social media accounts that they've created, but also use their name for their practice. There are a lot of ways that associate contracts can cause problems. The best way is to be prepared and aware about what you're signing, how to connect with a dental-focused attorney, and what makes sense and what does not make sense. We are here to help you at Dental Nachos with our Job Connect program. If we can help, just reach out to jobconnect@dentalnachos.com or contact our Job Connect coordinator, Jill at dentalnachos.com. We would love to help you find a great job, but even more importantly, steer clear of ones with red flags.
So the best part of every lecture, in my opinion, is when you can ask the questions. You can share with us and say, hey, these are starfish that I want to throw back, that I need help with. So put in the chat, put in the Q&A. Dr. Jake Dorfin's here with me. You're going to hear from him in just a few minutes. He's an awesome orthodontist. We're going to share some of the challenges of pandemic dentistry, but looking broad picture at some of the challenges we were facing already. Share those in the chat so we can help you. You're not the star. The patient's not the star. The story is not the star. The story is the star. How can we build better stories in our dentisting world so that we can create a community that truly cares about each other? This is the problem we are trying to help with. Don't feel isolated. Feel connected. Find out about jobs. Find out about practice. Find out what is normal. Get dentists out of caves, working in caves, and in a place where they can share more, care more, rely on people to help them along their journey. I am so grateful for people who have helped me along my journey that it's so important to look back and help someone who needs help. And that could just be a D3 helping a D1. So if you have questions, problems, concerns, put them in the chat or the Q&A. If they're too private and you want me to share them anonymously, just text me at 215-543-6454. You can text me at 215-543-6454. If you text CONVO to that number, you will get a free chip gift, a patient management course to help you communicate with patients, one of the keys to being a successful dentist. So one of my golden nacho tips is to BTL yourself. If you just watched this far and you just see this, this is going to be an awesome, awesome tip. Bring to life yourself. So if you're looking for a job, applying for something, looking for an associate, make a short video of yourself that shares your story. So this is me right here making a video of what I would have made coming out of my general practice residency to find a job. These are just the components of a BTL video. It's a 30 to 60 second video. Dr. J can make one for his referrals. People love videos, seeing your face, sharing your story. Watch what I do here and copy it. Copy it to share with patients who want to meet you. Maybe you're a new associate at practice. Make a short video, applying for a job, applying for a specialty program, looking for an associate, any type of connection where you want to bring yourself to life.
Tell me when I can go. Hi, my name is Paul, Dr. Nacho Goodman. I went to Penn Dental School and graduated in 2002. After dental school, I did a GPR residency at Albert Einstein where I learned how to place implants, do endo, get faster with restorative procedures. I would love to find a job in the Philadelphia area, and I would love to meet you. My cell phone is 267-896-1942. My email is paul@dentalnachos.com. please feel free to reach out to me at any time.
That video will make you Nacho ordinary. Practice making them. They're free. Take your iPhone. Maybe your friend holds it. Maybe just hold it in front of yourself. Who you are, what you do, what you like to do, what you're looking for, how people can reach out to you. That will change your life. That will open up connections that you could not have opened up before. Share this video through email, through text, through Instagram. Call it your BTL video about your dentisting self. Try that and let me know what happens. I know something awesome will happen if you give yourself that chance.
Tell me when I can go.
So before I bring up Dr. Jake, the way this is going to work is Dr. Jake is going to present all from Awesome Orthodontics. We'll collect questions. We'll hang around for a Q&A. But the topic that this awesome dental student asked us to speak about, so this amazing dental student went on a dental Facebook group, Dental Nachos, and said, who would like to share with our class about what changes are happening due to the coronavirus in private practice? I responded, Dr. Jake Dorfman responded. It was set up to be delivered after hours at the school at this time. When the dean found out I was involved, he banned the lecture. This dean does not like the way I run Dental Nachos. Not everyone has to like me, but it bothers me from a leadership perspective that they would prevent dental students from learning from private practice dentists. So I'm so glad we're doing this here. So the main topic or topping was what changes are happening to private practice due to the coronavirus crisis, and what can we do to lead our teams? And I think it comes down to 3 Ps. Those Ps are people, protocols, profit. Focus on people, protocols, and profit. I'm going to share with you in this few-minute video here that I took this morning with the moderators at Washington Square Park. See, when you make a video, I could write it down, I could put it in an email, but when you make a video and you upload it to a YouTube account, people can watch it over and over and over again. So this is my contribution at this time. I'll contribute more later about what you can do and you can focus on, whether you're a dental student, a dental resident, a dental practice owner. What can you do to make things better for people, your patients, your team, yourself? What protocols do you need to implement in your office? We now take temperatures, like a temperature check bouncer, checking temperature IDs. We have people wait in their car. We do surveys. We have more PPE. It's become incredibly stressful to do. People, protocols, and now profit. How are dental offices going to profit long-term? Is it going to affect our profit? Right now, it has depressed our profit. Our capacity is not the same. How can we ramp it back up to what we did before the coronavirus crisis? I always talk about diet and exercise, okay? If exercise is production in a dental practice and diet is reducing calories, overhead, sometimes it's a combination. So if you're a dental practice owner, you're an associate in a practice, you're a dental student who wants to own a practice one day, one of the questions was, how do you start up your own practice? We have resources for that. You're going to want to always be talking about production, exercise, calorie reduction, overhead. So let's listen to this video, then we're going to bring up the awesome Dr. Jake, and please share your questions in the chat, share your questions in the Q&A. If you want to text me directly, sitting here on my phone, 215-543-6454.
My name is Paul Goodman. I'm a dental practice owner. A lot of people know me as Dr. Nacho. I want to share with you a lot of P words, and we're going to start with how this pandemic has been annoying, upsetting, concerning, and the biggest challenge I have faced as a dental practice owner. Why more P words? First P word, people. When your dental office is shut down and it goes from closed to less closed, are we really open? I'm not so sure. It's so challenging with the people that you lead. Who are these people? Your team, your employees, people that have been with you for a long time now have a pause in their job. Some may not have a job. Some may be coming back part-time, another P word. Many of them are parents, another P word. And since it is illegal to leave your children home alone, how do our awesome team members come back if they need to be home with their children? So a people part of this pandemic that has been incredibly stressful is managing our team. Another people part, another P word, is our patients. Our patients need dental care. But when we were not open, how do we provide this dental care without our team in place? That was an extremely frustrating part of the pandemic. Now, as I record this video, it is August of 2020, and we are firmly less closed, but our capacity is not the same as pre-pandemic. I would say we are set up to see about 50 or 60% of the patients that we could have seen pre-pandemic. Why? Why is this the case? Some of it has to do with protocols. We now have a temperature check bouncer to get into the office. We have patients waiting in their cars. We have patients who are not sure if they're ready to come back to the dentist. We don't have a full team. Another people part that's a challenge. Protocols with PPE, another P word. What are the protocols? How have they changed? What have we had to add depending on our states, depending on OSHA? I highly encourage you at this time, when there's a crisis, a problem, to rely on experts and advisors. Have OSHA trainers ask them questions. Count on your dental-focused attorney when it comes to employment issues. Don't make these decisions all by yourself. You may regret it. They're often not intuitive decisions. The third P word, and perhaps the most important to our survival and thrival, is profit. We are private businesses, another P word, private practices. We cannot exist without profit. Now, the PPP loan, which was an incredibly confusing part of this pandemic, was there to support practice owners in paying, another P word, their team. But how long did that PPP loan last? Do you have a team that can come back? Now, as we move into the last quarter of this year, will dental practices be profitable? I am not so sure. Even as a practice owner myself, we are most definitely seeing more patients, but between PPE costs, that is affecting our ability to be profitable. One of the things, if you're listening to this video, I'm standing here in Center City, Philadelphia, Washington Square Park. It also matters where you practice on Earth. Certain areas are not as affected or influenced by the pandemic as others. So I encourage you to do two things that I recommend any person does, but are the foundation of what I do as a practice owner, as a dad, as a dentist, as Dr. Nacho. One, everything that matters needs a system, and everything matters. This is the time to rely on your systems, create systems, tweak systems. We have a ton of system resources in Dental Nacho Flicks. Just text Flicks to 215-543-6454 or visit dentalnachos.com. We will give you a free 30-day pass to Dental Nacho Flicks. This will help your practice create systems. So everything that matters needs a system, and everything matters. The other thing, ABC, always be creative, always be connecting. Sometimes always be crying on the inside as a dentist. We feel that way at times. But always be creative, always be connective, always be caring. There are people out there to help you. We will get through this, as annoying as it is, because it is very annoying. It's concerning, it's challenging. Be creative. Look for ways to creatively problem solve. Reach out for help. And remember, people, protocols, profit are the foundation to you surviving and thriving. Even if you're an associate, focus on that part, because you have your own people, you have your own protocols, and you need to develop your own profit. So this is truly a Nacho Nuts time during this pandemic on Earth. We are here to help you as a resource. Just reach out to us at any time at dentalnachos.com. The more we care, the more we share, the better dentistry world we can build together.
Okay, awesome, guys. Well, that got us started on this. Hope we get you thinking. I got some great questions already as we bring up Dr. Jake Dorfman. Jake, you can share your screen. We'll go over a couple questions while we're waiting for your PowerPoint to come up. So we got a great question, how to open up your own dental office after dental school and explore all the career options out there. Excellent question. So there's startup practices. There's ways to acquire practices. We have resources inside of Dental Nacho Flicks for you to listen to complimentary. But what I would encourage you to do is post on dental Facebook groups and ask people to share their stories. Jamie Amos is a great sponsor and key resource for our group who talks about startup practices, how to explore, talk to dentists, connect with dentists. When it becomes legal, go to study clubs. Talk to someone who's an orthodontist like Dr. Jake, who works with so many different providers out there, I'm sure all over the map, from fee-for-service to PPO to a mix. We also got a question out there about associate SIPs, corporate private practice, incredibly important. I'm a big fan, we'll talk about it, Jake, of doing a GPR AGD to get that extra year of experience to practice in a supportive environment. Just last night, at 11 p.m., a new dentist sent me a message and said, the big corporation he's working at is making him do things he's not comfortable with. Should he leave? Should he not leave? These are things that would be best to learn before you take these jobs. So the more options you have, get a dental-focused attorney to review your contract. Talk to as many dentists as possible. Get as many options on your Nacho plate as possible. And the third question before I turn over to Dr. Jake is a really good one about we can't see patients our third year yet. I feel for you guys. This is a crazy time. I encourage you to be kindly annoying to your school. Bond together and get your group together and say to the school, hey, if we are not going to get the clinical experience that we were promised, what is going to happen? Are they going to open up clinic hours extra on the weekends? Are they going to have you stay later? Are they going to give you a refund? The answer is reps. I have one of these weights here. So it's like doing bicep curls. Reps are important. And that's how you develop your dental skills, through reps. So I feel for you, and I would act early, be kindly annoying, put your group together, go to the deans and the people and say, hey, this is a problem. How are we going to solve it? It's best not to be attacking in nature, but say, we have this problem. We have this concern. How are we going to solve it? So I'm going to turn it over to my friend, Dr. Jake Dorfman. Jake, how many years have you been out of dental school?
I've been out of dental school almost since 2015, so 5, and graduated from ortho 3 years ago.
You are a CAD, a child-age dentist.
I was going to say,
years out.
Those are the notes I just took. I'm a toddler or child-age dentist.
You're on the brink with it. So I'm going to turn it over.
Dr. Nacho speak.
To you, Jake. If you need me for anything, let me know. We'll be back on to answer Q&A in like 20 minutes. Keep dropping your Q&A in the chat.
Perfect.
And Sharon, and we'll go from there. Thanks for being here, Jake.
Perfect. Feel free to chime in. So thanks for having me, Paul. The title of my lecture is WTF is Happening, because I say that to myself all the time right now. Basically, I'm just going to cover what new practice ownership has been like with COVID-19. It has been a wild ride. So just real quickly, my dental story. I graduated Temple in 2015 and then 2017 again in ortho. I was fortunate enough to stay at Temple. I was an associate orthodontist for 2 years. I became a diplomat at the American Board of Orthodontics in 2018. A little aside is my life story, and a little photo there. I had a daughter, Sloan, in November of 2018. She has sort of been like the shining light during all of this. I've gotten to spend a lot of time with her through all of this stress. I purchased a 2-location orthodontic practice in the Philadelphia suburbs, for anyone who's familiar, in Southampton and Penn Salem, on January 3rd, 2020. We closed for COVID on March 16th. So I was open for 2 months and then closed for 2 months and then reopened on May 18th. So to say it was, a tough start is an understatement. The best thing you will learn in the next 15 minutes, which is pretty much the extent of my talk, please don't buy a dental practice 2 months prior to a global pandemic. For anyone that can predict the next one, do not buy a dental practice 2 months prior to a global pandemic. All kidding aside, honestly, it was always my goal to buy a dental practice. I went to dental school not knowing I wanted to be an orthodontist, but really my goal has always been to be an owner. And I can't in my opinion, there's really no other way to do it. There's just the advantages of being a practice owner from a lifestyle and financial standpoint. It just doesn't really compare to being associate. That being said, I think it's really valuable to be an associate first. And this is just my 2 cents as a child-age dentist, as Paul would put it. But I really think it helps to just hone your skills, get comfortable with the actual dentistry and or orthodontics first before you take on the undertaking of owning a practice, especially if you're just going to buy outright and it's not going to be a slow transition. So those are my 2 cents on that. Well, what happens if you do buy a practice and in 2 months you have to close due to a global pandemic? I know Paul talks about crying all the time. I legitimately cried. It's a real thing. I cried some more, but honestly, at the end of the day, you just figure it out. Which leads me into like one of my favorite quotes ever, by Marie Forleo. Everything is figure outable. I use it as a statement in my practice. Before this whole pandemic happened, one of my first lecturers' speeches to my staff was that everything is figure-outable due to all the changes with the transition. I came across this on a awesome podcast, EntreLeadership. I'm really into podcasts. I highly recommend for all the dental students on there or even owners, podcasts, are the way to go. It's what I do on my commutes in and out of work. You really learn a ton about life, business, anything. There's ortho specific ones. I'm sure there's dental specific ones, but I highly recommend listening to podcasts to learn things about everything. But basically the gist of the book is to believe that everything is possible, and most importantly, her term, figure-outable, to eliminate all excuses and just at the end of the day, start doing the work, overcome your fears, jump in, just start getting it done. And I really I think it perfectly applies to life. I think it perfectly applies to practice. You just find a way to figure things out. So going back to my dental school sort of roots, my practice closed and I had no idea what the heck to do. I was just getting introduced to my practice, to my patients. I hadn't even met some of my patients yet because we were just 2 months in, and some orthodontic treatment intervals are, 8, 12-week patient appointments. So I went back to what I knew, and that's just basically write an essay, because I was in school for my whole life. I think a lot of people could relate. I put together a 9-page reopening plan for my practice. I covered what I thought was everything. A training program, which you can see briefly, in that slide, basically to review all the OSHA guidelines, how to, put on and take off PPE, to read OSHA manuals, to read our policy manual over again. I thought at that point, it was the most important thing possible for me was that the staff felt safe. I want the staff and the patients to feel safe. So that's where it all started with me. So training was the number one priority. I went into patient priority and scheduling. So again, going back to what you learn in dental school and what you don't learn in dental school, no one taught me how to prioritize which patients out of all of my literally hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of patients I should see first when I came out of coronavirus. So I just used common sense and figured it out. Office facility management. How are we going to change our offices to accommodate everything going on with coronavirus? We put up plexiglass shields. We did a lot of the things that every office, is doing. In our particular offices and in orthodontics specifically, we are, an open bay environment. Fortunately, the practice I took over had private operatories. So we pretty much limit as many appointments as we can to the private operatories. So we really rarely use the open bay. From an administrative patient management standpoint, I started to just put together things and figure out patient flows. So right now, we have patients wait in the car, they call. This is just to give you an idea. That was my idea. This is what it looks like in real life. There's a huge restaurant sign that I ordered. I just started ordering stuff when we heard we were coming back. I found out we were coming back, and in 3 days, our office was open. So I just started ordering as many things as I could. I put together the sign. This is what it looks like in real life. I think what's really nice about a sign like this is it tells the patients when they pull up in their car that you are taking this very, very seriously. So it explains the steps. That being said, everything is an evolving nature. So, we put this plan in place. I put it together, 2 months ago. I'm now in the process of changing it because we are getting so many calls now that our business is sort of ramping up and patients are coming back, that we are getting too many calls of patients checking in. So I'm in the process of changing this to texting to check in. So just sort of a sign of how things change, and you have to adapt with, how things work in your practice. PPE and patient care. I'm sure most of it's really hard to get, N95 masks. Right now, I had to put a whole plan into place of which masks we'd use for which types of procedures. In orthodontics, I felt pretty, lucky and fortunate that right now, and one of the things I started with, and we're just now easing that, is I haven't used a handpiece much at all. I've touched it 2 times in the first 2 months. 2 months we've been open. I know it doesn't apply to general dentists and most of the dental students. The point is, get creative, be creative, figure out ways to make things work for your practice, to work for your staff. My staff felt extremely safe knowing that we were not having any aerosol producing procedures, and it allowed me to retain most of my staff, bring them back, and do our thing. So just get creative and figure out how to make things work for you. Going home, we talked about, everyone brought a change of clothes. Going home, changing out of our scrubs at the end of the day. That again, we're thinking about changing into actual laundering, but again, it just, everything needs to be planned out, and then you have to change with the times. Staff management, exposure management. What the heck happens if somebody gets coronavirus? How are you going to respond to that? There's no like Bible out there that tells you this stuff. So you just have to come up with a plan, rely on the CDC, the OSHA, any guideline that's there, and put a plan, you know, in place that your staff feels comfortable with. These are some of the forms that I created. All of ours, you know, as one of our protocols, you know, the patients check in, and then we have them get their temperature checked, the health screening. So as a way to document, we've documented every single patient, what their temp is, did they complete their consent forms since we open, you know, if you're ever audited, anything like that, we are fully covered, could take out binders and binders of what their temperatures were. And more than anything, perception is reality. Patients, our staff sees this every day. Our patients see this every time they get a treatment progress report. Communication is extremely important. I know Paul's huge into systems. I am huge into systems also, but if I thought there was a close second, it would be that communication is everything. It is everything. If you can keep the communication clear with patients, with parents, your days go super smoothly. So because parents were not coming into our practice, it was important to me to let the parents know what we were doing on their child, which is most of our patients. So I created this form to let them know, A, what are we doing to keep them safe? Everybody, they're seeing on our form that everybody completed COVID consent forms. They took a health screening and what their child's temperature was, what we did that day, were x-rays taken, and what were my recommendations. A lot of the times I try to personally walk the patients out to the car and update the parent because I'm a new owner and just meeting some of these patients for the first time. But anytime I don't, my doctor recommendations are right there. We also made a full systematic change to having our clinical staff make all of the appointments to free our front desk to be able to manage all the patients coming in and all the phones, because our phones have been going crazy with people trying to reschedule appointments. So again, just making changes, working with them, and adapting with the times. I also try to throw a little bit of, you know, the Facebook and Instagram plug in there. So you just try to make things work for you, especially as a new practice owner. This is our supplemental health questionnaire. Our malpractice insurance carrier actually created an informed consent. So there are, you know, resources out there for you.
Hey, Jake, doing great.
Yeah.
Quick question.
Yeah.
Someone kindly raised their hand. What's your upper limit for temperature for refusing to see a patient?
Yes, so that's an interesting question. So it's been 100.4, which is the definition of a temperature. And that is what it has been. I did just see, and Paul, if you're still there, I legitimately just saw something yesterday come across that the CDC changed it to 100. So I'm investigating if we have to change it from 100.4 to 100. But that had been and it's black or white. If anybody takes it over, we take it 2 more times because the infrared thermometers are a little bit finicky. So I don't know if you have any insight on that, but I just read that yesterday.
Ours is similar, but just to share with you guys as practice owners, this is how nacho nuts and certain things could be, because it's like playing a game where your child says the floor is hot lava, and then it turns into something else the next day, which is a new show by John Mulaney, actually. So it really is nacho nuts. You just got to put in protocols and systems that make sense, err on the side of caution.
Exactly.
Most of the things we're doing, people can be rescheduled for. And for the most part, one of the things I'll share with you guys, I'm sure Jake will say the same, complaints stick out in life, okay? You forget that 80 people say you're great. You remember that one person who didn't like your shoes. It happens the same thing as dental practice owners, but you just have to roll with these sometimes challenging punches at this time and stick to your systems.
Absolutely, absolutely. So moving on, you think you have everything figured out. I put this 9-page plan into place. When you have it, you think you have it figured out. You really don't have it figured out. I call it the COVID staff roller coaster. Every dentist specialist is going through it right now. Not everybody wants to come back. The enhanced unemployment affected that a lot. Me personally, I learned to hire people and fire people in the first 6 months due to COVID. I've now had a staff member who I just hired who never showed up for their job and thought I had somebody in place. So it is just, it's like the wild, wild west right now. You learn to function with a reduced number of staff if you have to. And what I have found really important as a new practice owner is I found which staff members are willing to go above and beyond to make the practice run. You know, I'm a really loyal person. It really, both things have stood out to me, but I think the most important thing that I've learned is who's really in it for me as a new practice owner for the long haul, who's willing to go above and beyond to keep our practice going, because it is tough on everybody. Which brings me to my, you know, stress scale. One thing that I think every dentist, you know, deals with is stress. It is extremely stressful being a dentist. It is about 1,000,000 times more stressful being an owner. I will tell you that. One thing that I am still working on is managing stress. But one thing that's helped me a lot is prioritizing it. So you really have to learn what is worth losing sleep over and what is not, because there are too many things that will keep you up at night. So really just sitting down and knowing what is worth being stressed about and what is not worth being stressed about has helped me immensely. Just sort of put it to the side and move on. You know, can your business function or not? And that's really what it comes down to. And as an aside, one of the best things I did, I didn't know how good it was when I did it. I knew I didn't know anything about HR, and I was diving into buying the practice. I hired an HR consultant in California. They have been like lifesavers to me. Obviously, I did not know this was going to happen, but I speak to them quite a bit. And just to know that I'm doing things correctly from an HR perspective with hiring, firing, forms, policy manuals. Thankfully, I had all that from day one as a good foundation. It's helped me immensely. So now that we have somewhat of a staff, we've figured it out a little bit. Are the patients even going to come back? And I'm learning that now. So as my virtual non-disclosure agreement will show you, in May, it was basically a trial run for our practice. We barely had any patients come in on purpose. I wanted the staff to get comfortable, just to work through the kinks of our new systems, our new protocols. And then once we got up and running, I was ready to see patients, and not really any patients came in June. I still think patients were figuring things out. If things were going to reopen, they were still, you know, a little hesitant. That's my, you know, Larry David quote in there. In July, things turned around though. July, we had a really good July. In August, we're on pace for an even better August. So we're already back to, you know, before COVID numbers, which, you know, I'm happy about. But honestly, I'm, you know, not sure what the future holds at all for practice. So I'm going to just move on to my sort of favorite topic. The other thing I like besides orthodontics is marketing. This is my Allen Iverson quote of the night. Patients, we talk about new patients. Marketing in a COVID world. I think it all starts with safety. You need to overcome patients' and parents' fears. I made this the first slide, the bookmark of my Facebook page for our practice, our COVID-19 safety procedures. This is all, most of the things we're doing in our practice. So COVID-19 health screening, questionnaires, and touchless temperature checks for every person entering our office. That includes staff every day. That includes me every day. We're wearing face masks for anyone that enters the office. Everybody waits in the car for your appointments. We're limiting the number of people coming into the office. We're actually advising people to try to not come with the whole family. A lot of times we see families. And then we're really, you know, only people coming into our waiting room are parents of new patients for new patient exams. And if I need to see a parent, you know, for something special. We're maintaining safe social distance of 6 feet. So that goes for the staff too. You know, we do our best to try to maintain 6 feet. The chairs that we're utilizing are all 6 feet apart. We're enhancing our disinfection procedures, getting some, you know, in terms of cleaning services and protocols. We're only using private dental rooms, which I had mentioned earlier. We're removing toys, video games, all the fun stuff that you usually see in orthodontic offices and a lot of times you see in regular dental offices. It's all gone. And then, you know, most importantly, we're rescheduling any patient that has any symptoms or exposure. So to sort of Paul's point earlier, things are changing like crazy. Now, Pennsylvania, we have these recommended quarantine states, and there's no one telling us what to do. You make the best decision you can for the safety of everybody, almost like the temperature check. You know, right now we have a list like 14 states. It changes by the day. And, you know, my decision was we're rescheduling everybody for 2 weeks. There's no one telling me I have to. But again, it's safety first for my staff. It's safety first for the patients. To me, that's like black or white. You need to make sure that everybody feels safe or you won't have a practice. In this, new COVID world, in my opinion, virtual is the new reality. In orthodontics, it's worked out really, really well to offer virtual consultations. I think you just have to get creative and adapt with the times. Patients might not feel comfortable coming into your office. One way you can do that is with virtual consultations. I do think this applies to most specialties and general dentistry. It's really hot with orthodontics right now, which is one of the reasons we're doing it, but we're having good success. I mean, just my thought with general dentistry is for cosmetic cases. I mean, have people submit photos of their teeth, see if they're white, see if you see any, things that could be needed, veneers, crown, whatever. You can see a lot from good intraoral pictures. There's lots of good tutorials on YouTube for how to take pictures. There's using spoons actually to retract the cheeks. There's that game out there that comes with a cheek retractor. Have patients get creative, male patients cheek retractors. If you can get one patient on a cosmetic case with veneers whitening, you definitely just, made some money back. So there are ways to get creative to fit virtual consultations and virtual appointments into your schedule. Make it fit with your practice. Set aside time. You can market it, you can advertise it, whatever you want to do. But it's worked well for us and we're going to keep doing it. And I honestly don't see it going away even after COVID ends. And for us, we did some virtual appointments over the closure. As a new doctor and new owner, obviously I want to meet the patients. It's the reason I bought a practice. I want to have patients, have cash flow. It's, to me, a sort of safer way of starting a practice. But I didn't get to see them. So I was able to offer virtual appointments. I utilized Facebook booking as my own practice management software. And nobody taught me that. Again, this is sort of just off the cuff. I just figured it out. I actually had a full schedule, Tuesdays and Thursdays. People would book online. I would figure it out. I managed it all by myself. I did not have anybody working for me over the closure, like most dental practices. So I did everything myself. I learned how to take payments. I learned how to do things that I never knew how to do before, and dental school certainly never taught me to do. Here's some fun pictures, have fun with it. I brought my 1-year-old into some of them. Patients loved it. I dressed up for some of them. This coming week, I'm dressing up as a shark for Shark Week. We are decorating the offices with Shark Week, which leads me into my last sort of point. The world sucks right now. It really does suck. This is probably one of the worst times in all of our lives, or will be. How can you use your platform, which our platform is Dentistry, and it's an amazing platform, to make the world a happier place? It's sort of my whole practice's mission is to promote happiness. It's in all of our marketing. Really, what can you do to make the world happier? Kindness. This is one of my social media posts. Throw kindness around like confetti. It's a popular quote, but just have fun with it. Promote happiness, promote kindness and good things. We have a lot of contests, prizes within the practice. How can you make your practice fun? Patients aren't doing much. They're going to the grocery store. They're doing things. When they come to your office, make it fun. Make it a fun part of their day. They don't get to do many fun things right now. And then, in my opinion, most importantly, be involved with community and philanthropy. It's a little bit tough right now, but any way you can get involved with your community, promote, bigger causes than just dentistry. That's really this is sort of the foundation of my practice, making orthodontics easy, affordable, and fun. It's sort of my big things. That, promoting happiness, and where everybody smiles, or where everyone smiles, is my service motto. And really, when anyone enters my office, everybody should be smiling. Our staff, our doctors, our patients. It all starts with that. That's my little spiel. Here's some fun social media posts. This is an example of me getting involved in philanthropy virtually. I have a patient who has this awesome philanthropy to collect clothes drives. So I use my practice as a way to collect clothes for the patient. She's my patient. It has nothing to do with me, but I'm able to sort of promote her better cause and use my practice as a way of doing, good for other people. Paul, I don't know if you did.
Just phenomenal. Really, yeah. I love that last slide. I mean, the world does make you, I have this example of how people feel on the inside. Like one thing, you were smart, Jake. You've chosen a career without class 2s. Good job there, right? Yeah. So when the class 2 band fall out, this is how you feel on the inside a lot. But you got to remember sometimes to just be nice, eat nachos,
yes.
Be kind. So awesome stuff. We got some great questions. You could stop share. We'll spend 15 minutes, really amazing stuff.
Can I share my last slide?
Oh, sure. Sorry.
I just want to share my last slide for all the dental students, the best thing you'll learn in the next 10 seconds. Don't spend all of your time studying. Enjoy your time in dental school. Life gets real, really freaking fast. Seriously, if I would have gotten into ortho, if I was 5 spots less in my class, 10 spots, I did not need to stay in every Saturday night and study. I did, but I didn't have to. I just wish I enjoyed dental school a little bit more. So take it for what it's worth. Thank you all for your time. I love
that. Someone said it. Now you tell me 4th year. I love that guy who said that. He's one of my favorite dental students. So let's go over some questions. Really great. I mean, what I always say, and we just had someone on Dental Nachos today say, I can't believe someone's posting blah, blah, blah. That has nothing to do with about dentistry. And my motto is Dental Nachos is about people first, being a dentist second. I just think that's an important thing to remember as we go through life. So let's go through some questions here, some specific ones, some other ones. So how did you deal with your bills for the new practice when everything shut down and you didn't have money coming in? Was it PPP loans? Was it something else? How did you deal with that?
Yeah, so that's an excellent question. So I will say I am semi-fortunate that I went into orthodontics because ours are all contracts. Yeah. So yeah, so we did have money coming in. Any patient that asked for us not to run their auto pay, I did not run their auto pay, but we do have a decent amount of auto pay collections each month, which let us pay the bills. I also was fortunate enough to get a PPP loan. And that helped with the recovery for the first month or 2 that were pretty slow.
I mean, the PPP loan is a bit like your instructor coming over and helping you with the crown prep and be like, I'm done helping you. How's it going to help? What's going to happen after this? And no one really knows. I mean, whether you've owned a practice for 15 years like me, 40 years, yes. 2 years, what's going to happen? Someone asked a question, what happens if there's a second wave? It's going to be a huge challenge. You're going to have to rely on systems and survival. Not every part of life is thrival, some is survival, right? Surviving and thriving. And it's just creating systems and protocols and communication to survive and move on. If you're a football fan, win and move on. And this truly is a Nacho Nuts time. I mean, Jake, you are talking as a new practice owner, which I totally understand, but imagine being someone who's been a practice owner for 15 years, them telling you your practice is grounded like I was as a kid when I didn't do something right. It was such a hard thing for your brain to understand that you weren't allowed to go in. So let's do, I have a few more content pieces, but I want to do some more questions with Jake. What podcast do you recommend, Jake?
So that's a good question. So I really like Entrepreneurs on Fire. It has nothing to do with dentistry. I honestly don't, most things from a marketing standpoint, I do not learn in dentistry. I think that's sort of one just big topic. Yeah. Take things outside of dentistry and pull them into dentistry. You'll be so much better off. Because people in dentistry, honestly, they pretty much all do the same thing.
I agree with you. One of my favorites is Guy Raz, How We Built This is one of my favorite podcasts. The one with Simon Sinek and the Infinite Game. Yep. Having a video is a great one. I'm a huge fan of Gary Vee, who's
all Gary Vee's stuff is great. All Gary Vee's stuff is great.
So utilize that. And what I've created myself with, the Dental Nachopedia and Dental Nacho Flicks is basically content you can keep in your phone like see and listen to it anytime you want. Cool. So you can infuse learning into your workouts, into walking around. We have one awesome new dentist, Dr. Yalda, Loops and Lipstick on Instagram, who watches a Dental Nacho Flick show when her patient cancels. And I have to say that's lucky because when my patient canceled back in 2005, there was nothing like that. So you can always be learning and taking it with you. Someone asked, as a dental student or D4, Jake, what would you focus your C and learning on to move to the next step in your career?
So as a D4, what would I?
D4, what CE or stuff would you take dental wise? And I know you're an orthodontist, you're a specific role, but you have friends who are dentists. Like, what would you focus your learning on?
So if I was doing C, so I guess to your point, I'll go here. If I was a D4, I would 100%. If I was not an orthodontist, I would 100% be doing a GPR. 100%. So from my experiences and my friends that are general dentists, in my opinion, the ones that have done GPRs seem to be a little bit ahead than the ones that
you basically get to practice on people that you're not going to see again in a supportive environment. Yes. So what you talked about, customer service, Setting the Table is an amazing book. I take the moderator to this place. I don't know if you've heard of it, Shake Shack. Have you heard of Shake Shack? Mm-hmm. So Setting the Table is by Danny Meyer, the founder of Shake Shack. Yeah. And you can't really mess up customer service in the real world that much. So when you do a GPR AGD, you can really practice on people that are not going to be part of your private practice.
I think GPR is the getting the experience is invaluable.
How much financially should be ready to cover for the first couple of months of not having a practice running and earning money yet?
How much money?
Ortho, yeah. How many months do you have saved if you don't have enough to cover?
That's an awesome question. So when you're 2 months in and you haven't made any money yet, it's a little bit hard to save money. So fortunately, and I will say for anyone buying a practice, make sure you work in working capital, because working capital came to be very helpful to me. So I don't know how many people know about that, but.
So what that means is a practice broker, we have a great course on buying a practice. If you just text success to 215-543-6454, you get a 60-minute course. And what that means is if a practice is $800,000, they give you $900,000, you have $100,000 of working capital.
Yes.
That's why it's important to negotiate a good asking price, develop your team of advisors to do that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, I don't know a magical number. I wish I had it, and I probably still haven't made it, so.
Great questions here. Non-compete clauses for associateships. So when people say non-compete clauses are not enforceable, my good friend, dental focus attorney Rob Montgomery, to find out something's not enforceable, you may have to pay a lot of money. So my recommendation is do not sign a contract without having a dental focus attorney review it. And if the non-compete is too far, don't take the job, because if you leave that job and you want to buy a practice within the non-compete, whether it's enforceable or not, the bank will not give you that loan. So it's very critical. Contracts early in your career are critical to look at carefully. Have any of your friends had any contract good stories, drop nachos problems?
I do. Oh,
you do?
So I'm gonna be so I did that exact thing, and then I ended up calling Rob Montgomery into my contract. So I couldn't agree more that you should have a dental specific attorney. It is worth the money. I know it seems like a lot in the beginning. It is worth the money. I don't care who you use, but I will say that actually happened to me. I would highly recommend that you have a dental specific attorney.
That falls under don't be dentist cheap. Okay, what that means is
I agree.
Don't be dentist cheap on stuff that's going to affect your life, even as a dental student. So if someone says there's a $25 seminar and you say you can't afford it, and then I look on Instagram, I say, is that you with a $20 old fashioned on the weekend? Which is cool if you do that, but don't be dentist cheap and not pay for stuff that is going to enhance and protect you in your career.
Yes, that is well said.
Thanks, Steve. Let's see. Do dental associates expect to pay lab fees for cases that are highly expensive compared to the norm? In general, the lab fees, which should stay in your contract, like 35% of net collections. That means if a crown's $100, you pay $35, the office pays $65. I would never agree to pay your entire lab fee. Also, if the owner says you don't have to pay any lab fee, that's usually a weird red flag on their part. So most of the time, the percentage of the lab fee that you paid is equivalent to what you're being paid, 40% of collections. I don't know how do lab fees for like Invisalign work with ortho associates?
So it depends. So like when I was an associate, the practice picked up the whole lab fee, but most of ortho is a per diem.
Yeah, you guys have a little bit of a different thing.
It's a little bit of a different associate model. It's all per diem for the most part.
Podcast, how did you get your associate position after dental school? Finding a job in dentistry is a lot like dating. Look online, ask people who know people, get your face out there, act a little desperate. Let people know, hey, I need a job next year. Do you know anyone? Start day one, D1 looking, not applying. Connecting with people in the area, getting to know specialists like Jake, putting your name out there on Facebook in a way where you ask good questions and share and become someone who's recognized. There's dental students who we've sponsored to come to Dental CE, and they will get helped in getting jobs. So you got to do the Nacho ordinary thing. When you're married, you met your soulmate like Jake and I, right? You don't have to worry about dating anymore. But when you haven't met someone and you want to meet someone, you got to be out there. It's the same in the dental world. Get yourself out there. How did your friends find jobs, Jake?
So it's same. I think you have a very good point. I think just getting out there and meeting people is the way to find a good job. I would say that because there are plenty of jobs. There are not plenty of good jobs. But looking for somewhere where you're going to get a true mentor, it's hard to get those types of jobs.
Both of us work in Center City, Philadelphia, and if people came out, both of us live here, and people came from out of town and said, the only place I'm going to is Alves. It's my only option. Like, you might have to wait 3 hours and I'll pop you a night. But if you have 5 restaurant options, you can be more successful in reaching your goals. Same thing with jobs. Dental Focus attorney, Rob Montgomery, yourdentallawyer.com. Amanda can put that in the chat. As we finish up here, I want to show just a couple slides here. If you have a few more questions, Jake, you can scan the chat for some more ortho-specific ones. If you didn't get your question answered, you can email flix@dentalnachos.com, flix@dentalnachos.com. Amanda will help us get it answered. Maybe we'll have a sequel, like this is Rocky 1. We can have Rocky 2. Jake and Paul talk about another band lecture for the next one. So let me show you guys a couple things that will answer some questions that you guys had asked. Okay. Share my computer sound. So, talked about sharing more, caring more, building a community that matters. Here is part of some of my things that cross over with Jake. Everything that matters needs a system, and everything matters. Always be creative, caring, and connecting people, protocols, and profit. You're thinking about short things. When I go to my office, I want to think about people, the people that are there, that's important, the protocols that we have, and how we're going to be profitable. Develop your team of advisors and rely-ers, or rely-on-ers, which is not a real word, I made it up. So you have your team of advisors, but also people. I have a group text message with friends that we've been using all through this pandemic. Stay connected to people who know dentistry. What does your awesome wife do, Jake?
She's a dermatologist.
Okay, well, I mean, everybody wants to see those people. It's always nice to have you. More Botox, please. More this. So it's the opposite of us. You can have well, too, ortho. Us general dentists, people say, you're the last person I want to see today when they come for a crown or filling a root canal. But you want to develop people in the dental space that you can text and call and just say, is this normal? When you're a new parent, like you're a new parent, we are our second child. It's the same way with a child. Is it normal that they don't sleep through the night? That is normal. So that, to me, are 5 key important points. 3 things that are decaying dentistry that we can come back and talk about are the Ds: declining insurance reimbursement, high dental school debt, and DSOs. All of these are shaping our industry in ways that we may not find favorable, but we have to deal with them. JBR, just be real. Dental insurance reimbursement, we are being paid less now than we were 5 years ago. So insurance companies have a lot of control over fees. Dental student debt. I mean, I know there's awesome dental students watching this. The cost to go to my dental school is 3 times as much as it was in 2002. I don't know how that happened. Maybe because the government are giving out these candy loans to people, but the pay is stagnant. So when you get out of dental school and make $500 or $600 a day, and that's what I made when I got out in 2002, it's just to be aware of these challenges. And DSOs, when DSOs buy a practice, I work with DSOs. I find associates for them. It doesn't mean they're bad. It doesn't mean they're good. It just means that when a DSO buys a practice, it's likely never sold to a private practice dentist again. And that's shaping our industry. That's not something my dad's generation dealt with. Any comments on any of those things, Jake, that you find you wanted to add to?
I think the debt is a real thing. Being an ortho that went to a paid dental, ortho residency, that is a real thing. And, in my opinion, and it's always been my philosophy, I don't know if it's right or wrong, is the only way to pay off the debt is to make more money. So, yeah, and that goes back to my practice ownership point. I really think the only way to do it is to be a practice owner because, I hate to say it, but financially, it's just, you're typically better off.
Yeah, so working towards that is key and getting there. And also, though, we had Travis Hornsby on our podcast. He's a sponsor of the group. Travis Hornsby is like Batman of loans. You text loans to 55444. You'll get Travis's info. He will help you learn how to pay your loans. He did this because his wife is a doctor, Jake, and she signed a piece of paper to refinance her loan. Cost the family like $30,000. Yeah. So Travis changed his entire business model from being a businessman. He's an amazing guy with Student Loan Planner. What he charges to look at how to pay loans, to me, is so reasonable. And he's here to tell you you're on the right track or you need to switch because it's super confusing with iPay, repay.
I will say a lot of those programs, though, I will say just from my experience, some of the government programs do ease a little bit of the stress. And I'm familiar with him, too, and I heard he's great.
Yeah.
I think just going over which plan is best for you would be really helpful.
And how can you deal with this, though? Dentists don't like bad news. People don't like bad news. All these Ds are affecting you. Debt, declining insurance reimbursement, DSOs. What can you do? Develop your dentist core. Your dentist core is not crown preps. That's just part of it. It's how you talk to patients. It's how you make business decisions. It's how you do all the awesome things Jake talked about. That's why you shared multiple times, being a practice owner is more stressful than being an associate. Associates are aunts and uncles of the practice. Practice owners are parents. Take some time being an aunt and uncle, work on your dentistry, work on your stuff, then own a practice is my Nacho recommendation. I know Jake would agree, but your dentisting core, dental school does not tell you. Success is related to how you talk to your patients, how you think through things, and how your hand skills work. We overvalue our clinical skills early, and we don't necessarily develop those other things. Is that something you would agree with, Jake?
Very strongly.
Awesome, thanks.
Yeah, yes.
All right, guys, so what we're gonna do here, I always say AATI, always about the impact. This is Dr. Yalda. She's someone we interviewed yesterday. She's someone who's Nacho ordinary. She went out and she found a job through Instagram. She found a job in a local community. She's always out there. She took one of our courses that she found has been super helpful to her clinical, her patient management skills, her treatment planning skills. Look for leaders and copy them. Look for people doing great stuff and find out how they did it. This is someone who's in your world as a baby age dentist doing awesome things. Look to make positive impact on those people around you. What Jake is doing tonight, he could be with his one-year-old. Hopefully your one-year-old's asleep by now, but here's sharing with you guys. As we finish up here, here's my treatment plan for success. Always be creative, develop your dentist core, BTL yourself like we talked about through videos, and create and contribute to a community that sees dentists as colleagues, not as competitors. If you want to do something tomorrow morning that's incredibly inspiring, do this. Go to your podcast app, look up Guy Raz, How I Built This, listen to the 19-minute podcast by Simon Sinek on the Infinite Game. It's the opposite of how they teach us in dental school. They teach us the dental student Hunger Games. It's not about competition, it's about colleagues. What I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna show, here's our prizes again here at the end that you're welcome to get. Our text convo is patient communication, awesome course, and being part of Dental Nacho Flicks, you can text it out for 30 days. I wanna get some parting words from you here in a second, Jake. Before I play this as our final thing, Amanda will share some text codes while I do that. How much experience are banks looking for new dentists to have when they ask for loans? Really good question. What did the bank ask for you?
So that's an awesome question. So I would say if you want to buy a practice early on in your career, it does take a little bit of planning. So you have to know how your financials need to look to the bank in order to buy a practice. And I knew I wanted to buy a practice. So every single thing I did for 2 years was to make it so my bank account looked okay to a bank. And I would highly recommend anybody who wants to buy a practice to know what those things are. In a nutshell, it's cash in the bank. So typically you need about 10% of whatever it is worth. I didn't want a limit on the practice I could buy. So I literally saved any single dollar I could. And I didn't end up needing all the cash that I saved up, but I was able to look at any practice that I wanted. I didn't want to be the person that couldn't buy the practice that I wanted. So I would say that's probably the biggest thing. They don't really care about your dental experience. They want to know that you can pay the loan. So that's really
great point. So 10% in liquid assets, non-retirement assets.
Yes.
We work with banks. So you have a $700,000 practice, you need $70,000.
Exactly.
For general practices, though, orthodontists, great decision, become a specialist. They treat specialists a lot better in this regard.
Gotcha.
They will usually ask general dentists to prove your production. So save your day sheets. So if you want to buy $1 million practice, they're going to say, okay, Dr. Smith, can I see your production sheets from when you work for Pennington Dental Associates? And you got to show, yeah, I did $50,000 a month, $60,000 a month, $40,000 a month. They're not necessarily going to take your word for it because they want to make sure you can replicate those services. So save your day sheets when you work at a practice. It's incredibly important.
And I will point out in this conversation, because your loans is a huge deterrent though. So you need to know how to manage your loans. The reason that I did like income-based repayment was so that I could keep my loan payment low. Because at the end of the day, they just look at your assets and liabilities. And if you show a $6,000 liability for your student loans, you're going to have a harder time getting a practice. You also need to strategically not buy a house.
Very good.
So
Bart Simpson, do not buy a practice. Do not buy a house before a practice. people regret that instead of the other. So if someone say,
so I have a cheap car, I bought a used car. So I have a used car and rented a cheap place in Allentown, Pennsylvania, and saved as much money as I could. And I was fortunate to be able to find a practice to buy and then be able to buy it. But I do think, you know, it's not as easy as just finding a practice and buying it. You do truly need to put yourself in a position to be able to buy it if you want to do it early on in your career.
Really excellent advice there. So what I'm going to do, guys, I'm going to play this video. We're going to share some text codes. If you guys could help me, I would love if you just put in the chat before you signed off. You'll listen to this video. We'll share some present. One thing you learned from this night, it helps Jake and I. If we replicate this again, we might do a sequel. So just share one thing that you learned. If you need to reach out to me, you can do so through salsa@dentalnachos.com, our text hotline. What's the best way for people to reach you, Jake?
Oh, my email was in the last slide. I had a thank you slide also, but my email is Jake. My middle initial is M for Michael Dorfman, my last name @gmail.com. That's my personal email. Anyone's free to email me with questions.
Awesome. I appreciate you contributing to the Nacho community. This was quite the spicy band lecture. I don't know why someone would want not like this. It's too scandalous what has been said here tonight. So I'm glad you guys are here for it, but I'm joking in the sense where I would love to get this information to more people to make them prepared and aware to protect yourself and succeed in dentisting, develop that dentist core. Thanks so much, Jake. I'm just going to play this video. Amanda,
thanks for having me.
And we'll do something fun coming up soon. You did an awesome job.
Thanks,
guys, for watching in.
Strategies for being successful in life and dentistry is based on the ABCs. Always be caring. Always be creative. And most of all, always be connecting. Oftentimes in school, we are not taught the real skills needed to survive and thrive. I'm here at Pennsylvania Hospital, where both of my amazing children were born. And I often say that if dental school taught parenting classes, they would teach you everything except how to feed the baby. And then you got home and you'd be like, I probably should have learned how to feed this baby. That baby is your dental career. Your first job, your second job, whether or not to do a GPR or AGD, when to buy a practice, do you bring in a partner? All the critical decisions that determine our success. How to communicate, another C word, with patients. How to develop relationships. And your team, both in the office and advisors that you can count on. When you want to build new nachos, drop your nachos, burn your nachos, or have your nachos broken. And sometimes that's out of your control. Like right now, we're dealing with a pandemic. So how can we create a community that cares? If it takes a village to raise a child, how can we create dentists that are ready for the real world? Can survive and thrive in the real world? Can we build this community together so we all can connect, so we all can count on each other, so we all can feel like we are part of something? I have tried to do that at Dental Nachos and strive each day to do more of that. But we need more than Dental Nachos. We need you to contribute to your community at every age and stage of your dentist career. And yes, that means D1. Put together events, virtual, in person when that's legal again. Groups, times where you can meet other dentists and talk from all ages or stages. Because we need each other to solve problems. You may need a job to pay off your loans. A dentist is going to need another dentist to buy his or her practice. So we are all connected in this wacky nacho plate of dentisting together. The more we care, the more we share, the better world we can build together. And we want to help you. If we can help you in any way, just reach out to us at dentalnachos.com. And if you're watching this video, one of my favorite nacho toppings to share with dentists at any age or stage is how to communicate better with people. Patients happen to be people, but your team is made up of people. And you, believe it or not, I know we're dentists, we are people too. So if you text CONVO, C-O-N-V-O, text CONVO to 215-543-6454. That is the Dr. Nacho community text line. Text CONVO to 215-543-6454. We will send you a complimentary chip gift on how to communicate better with people in your life, patients, teams, and other dentists. I appreciate you watching this Dental Nacho show. This is my favorite thing to do, connect with and share with dentists. Together, I know we can make things better, a little bit better each day. And if you want some resources that can help you, Simon Sinek, The Infinite Game, anything Gary Vee does, but also in our own dental community, the amazing Dr. Yazdan, look her up on Instagram, the awesome Dr. Lewis Chen. These are leaders in your own community. Dr. Jordan Brown, new dentist, resident, sharing amazing things on Instagram. We have so many ways, MOCs, mechanism of connection, modes of communication, to help us bond together. Let's do this now. It's a pandemic. We have certain challenges with the coronavirus that have not been seen before. And it is the time for us to bond together so we can all be successful.
Does your dentist say words to you that make you feel weird, scared, and afraid? Well, it's not your dentist's fault because they went to dental school. And in dental school, we are taught to talk really, really weird. You may have a hygienist as well. She's also taught to talk really, really weird. My name is Dr. Paul Goodman, Dr. Nacho, and I am helping dentists and hygienists everywhere not talk weird. So I've come up with 5 words you should not say in a dental office. 5 words that will make your patients feel scared, feel weird, feel afraid, and make you unlikable. So what are these 5 words? So we're going to go through don't say this, say this. The first word is fail or failed. There's no reason we have to look at a patient who's had a bridge in place for 20 years and say, Millie, your bridge has failed. It's unlikable, it's mean, and it doesn't even make sense because cars don't last that long. So instead of failed, how about we say this? Hey, Millie, it's time to replace your bridge. So don't say fail, say replace. What's next? My personal favorite, the one that makes you feel so weird on the inside when you say it. If a tooth does not have a filling, we are taught to call those teeth virgins. Does that make you feel comfortable to hear the word virgin? Instead of saying virgin, how about saying tooth without a filling? This tooth doesn't have a filling, not that it's a virgin. The third thing is save. We often say to patients, we can't save this tooth. So dramatic, like it's private premolar. Does your dentist personal favorite, the one filling? This tooth doesn't have a filling, not that it's a virgin. The third thing is save. We often say to patients, we can't save this tooth. So dramatic, like it's private premolar Ryan and Tom Hanks is coming to save it. So instead of that, say, hey, the cavity here has gotten so deep, we cannot maintain this tooth. So to review, don't say fail, say replace. Don't say virgin, say tooth without a filling. Don't say save, say maintain. We have 2 more. Informed consent, so dramatic. I'm going to give you an informed consent for a root canal. Now, what could you call an informed consent? A heads up.
I'm going to give you a heads up what can happen. So you can have an informed consent form where it says informed consent, but as you bring it to life for patients, say, I'm going to give you a heads up. Most of the time things go really, really well, but these are some things you should know about your procedure. I'm going to give you a heads up, whether it's a root canal, scaling and root planing your crown. And the final one is the P word. Do not say this P word. And that P word is policy. No one likes to hear that word. You don't like it, I don't like it, and our patients don't like it. So you may have a financial policy where everyone pays before treatment. That's cool, but instead of saying policy, why don't you call it protocol? So don't say policy, say protocol. So these are the 5 words you should not say to be less weird and more likable in the dental office. Don't say fail, say replaced. Don't say virgin, say tooth without a filling. Don't say save, say maintained. Don't say informed consent, say heads up. Don't say policy, say protocol. If I can help you in any way, just reach out to me at dentalnachos.com. It is my life's goal to help you talk less weird. Give me some sort of either a sign like this and I'll go. We are taught to talk really, really weird. Virgins. Private Premolar Ryan and Tom Hanks is coming to save it. Really, really